but the truth is Bitcoin is the only clearly designated property in the world, the only crypto property where it's clear that it's property. Everything else is a debate, right? And everything else has some risk. So you're taking more risk, and you're kind of taking competitive risk, like, will this smart, will Binance beat Solana, beat Ethereum, beat Cardano, which one will win? Right? And they're all fighting over being the most functional, highest performance for a certain use case. That's a technology investment, right? It's not saving money for 1,000 years. See, Bitcoin's not trying to, add 87 new features. Bitcoin is trying to last for 1,000 years. And so there's a different idea. Do I want to own 1/21 millionth of all the money in the universe for 1,000 years? Or do I want to have the next great NFT platform, or the best one, or the best whatever? So they're technology investments. And when I look at this as a company, our business strategy is property investment. We buy and hold Bitcoin. If you thought that you wanted to invest in Istanbul, I could just buy up all the land in Istanbul. But I could also decide that I want to build retail shopping centers and apartment complexes and office buildings and stadiums on top of the land. But you see, like, when I start building stadiums in Istanbul, that's a different business than just owning all the land in Istanbul. True. And if I decided I could build a big building in Istanbul and then rent it out to a bank, and then I could go in the banking business, and I could have a delicatessen, and I could have a hairdresser and dry cleaner in the building. But don't you see that every single time I start to do more things, I'm taking more risk?
Yes.
How many buildings in Istanbul have stood for 100 years and they're still as valuable as they were the day they were built? The frequency is, property has a frequency of hundreds of years, maybe thousands of years. Platforms, buildings, have a frequency of like 20 to 50 years if you're lucky. The companies, Bitcoin's the property, the smart chains, they're the platform. The tokens on top of them are the companies. They come and they go. The mortality rate with these crypto tokens is going to be 99%. But it's not that different than, I wrote the mobile wave, and I said, the mobile phone's good. And so I bought Apple and I bought Facebook. And you would have said to me, well, Mike, why don't you buy, 87 other mobile startups? Well, how many companies failed for Instagram to succeed? And by the way, did Instagram succeed? No, they got bought by Facebook. Okay, what's up a good idea? Well, that's not a company, that's Facebook.
Yeah, true.
Okay, so how many companies really succeeded? I would say probably 100,000 mobile apps got launched. You can probably count 100 that succeeded, and you can count 10 that got 80% of all the value. So, if you roll the clock back 20 years, and I say, I'm big into internet. Well, that's good. Like I launched alarm.com to do home automation in 1999. Okay, they're like worth $4 billion, but I had to spin them off. I didn't have the capital to make that work. And on the other hand, Apple and Google and Amazon are probably making more money in that space now. I launched Angel to compete against, to do interactive voice response. Okay, and eventually it got copied by Siri and Alexa. But Amazon made a lot more money than I made. I made 100 million. Amazon must have made 100 billion. Okay, so the point is, the idea isn't worth that much. The idea plus $20 million might be worth 100 million, and it might go to zero. If you have 1 billion users, like who came up with the first streaming music play, right? And then eventually you had Pandora and you had Spotify, and then Amazon copied, and then Apple copied them. And so who's made the most money on streaming music? And it's a challenging thing. So the real point here is, if you're a saver, you need something that'll last 1,000 years, and you just want a strong asset. The Bitcoin's the most efficient monetary network in the world, and so with some volatility, it's going to go up forever. It's just a question of what the volatility is. So if you buy any Bitcoin, you shouldn't store money in Bitcoin that you're not willing to hold for 4 years. And ideally, you take the portion of your money that you want to hold a decade, your savings, and you put that in Bitcoin and you just let it sit there for 10 to 100 years. And you never sell, ever, right? It's like owning the best block in your favorite city, and you're going to give it to your great-great-great-grandchildren. You just want to own it forever, right? And then another pool of money is for investment. So if you want to bet on a company, you make an investment. If you happen to be like a programmatic proprietary trader and you've got like computers that are super smart, maybe you can trade, but I think that's a profession. And if you're the best trader in the market, you know it. That's profession. If you're not a professional, don't touch that. And then the last bucket of money is if you're trading, but you don't know what you're doing, you're just speculating. And okay, well, you walked into a casino and you know you're going to lose, but it's fun. So go and bet 5% of your money in a casino because it's fun, even though the odds are stacked against you. That's the way to think about these assets. But every rich person in the world isn't a trader. For example, Jeff Bezos is not rich because he traded Amazon stock. He's rich because he couldn't, right? He couldn't by law trade it. He had to keep it. It traded down 80% 5 times. If he traded it, he wouldn't be the richest man in the world a second. Elon Musk is not rich because he trades. Mark Zuckerberg is not rich because he trades. You might find 1 out of 1,000 billionaires that's rich because they claim to be traders, but even them, they're not traders. Most of the people that you think are traders, they made all their money by raising pools of institutional capital and getting paid 2 and 20. So like they raised $10 billion and they said they're going to trade it, and they get paid 2% management fees. So they make $200 million a year, and then they get 20% of the upside. So when the S&P goes up by 30%, they got 6% of that. So if they had 10 billion, they made like 800 million that year. But even if they were wrong on every single trade, they still made 8 million a year. The trick was not trading. The trick was raising large pools of capital with an asymmetric contract. So I think if you put 5,000 highly rich people on a graph, you probably wouldn't find more than 5 that made their money trading. And even then, not a good idea. So it's like buying lottery tickets. A better idea is buy a high quality property and hold it. If you look at people that get wealthy, you would say, well, I can't get wealthy that way. The way you get wealthy is you buy the high quality property with leverage. Like in the real estate business, if you can buy a $1 million building with $100,000 down, you work your life, you save the $100,000, you buy the $1 million building, you borrow the $900,000. The central banks print money, the inflation rate runs 10% or 20%. The building goes from 1 million to 2 million to 5 million to 10 million. Pretty soon you have a $10 million building because you had a $1 million investment with $100,000 in capital, and you never sell it. The problem with trading is you pay the transaction fee, and you also owe short-term or long-term taxes